We have some great 76ers news to get to on today's Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. And no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, as always, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. And here's what's coming up on the 76ers Now Rundown. We're going to discuss Tyrese Maxey's growth as a leader, Paul George looking like a star, 76ers rookies are standing out, Yabusele receiving praise, and the 76ers plan for Joel Embiid. Before we dive in with this video, can we finally get to 20,000 subscribers? It would be a milestone that means a lot to myself and producer Chip, but the more subscribers that we get, the more videos and the more content that we can create for you. So hit that sub button. As you can see, we're 134 people away from hitting 20K. Let's begin with Tyrese Maxey. Been stepping up. The Sixers star point guard has started to really admire his teammates, his coach, the city of Philadelphia, and the role that he can have and fulfill for the Sixers team. And now he's really starting on top of that to embrace this larger leadership role for the 76ers. And I think that's the next step for Tyrese Maxey in his ascent. He's already become a great player. He's become an all-star. The game has improved. Now it's some of the extracurricular nuance things that Tyrese Maxey can take on as one of the faces of this franchise. Here's what Nick Nurse had to say about Tyrese Maxey as the Sixers training camp sessions are underway in the Bahamas. When we first started last year playing games, I was like, oh boy, we've got a really long ways to go with him using his voice and leadership-wise. And then I thought he grew up really fast in like 6 or 8 weeks. So I think he's assumed more of that. And this is what you love to see. Maxey has become more of a vocal leader. He's always kind of led by example. Now he can continue to do that. But when you are given a max contract, and when you're a great player like Tyrese Maxey is, and you have this vivacious personality that has been so important to the Sixers culture, your teammates will look to you to lead. And Maxey is starting to take on those duties. Here's what Maxey had to say about his leadership. Besides Joel Embiid, I think I've been around here the longest. I lead by example now. I get up early, work out early in the morning before practice, and I like to win. I want to win. I know how things work around here. I'm just trying to be what's demanded and make us be more dominant. And in speaking of Tyrese Maxey here, if you look at Tyrese Maxey as a stock, every year since he was drafted in the first round out of Kentucky, thank you, Mike Muscala, for the shot in the bubble, his stock has soared. And it's become more valuable every single year. Now Tyrese Maxey is an all-star. He got that max contract. He's really worked hard on his game. He's always been one of those guys who's the first one in and the last to leave. He is embracing more of the leadership qualities that his teammates are looking for him to really start to embrace. And as far as the game goes, at Kentucky, at times he struggled with the three-point shot, but he's worked on that throughout his career. Without James Harden, he was asked to be the primary ball handler and the point guard for this team, where he could create for himself and others. And the improvements that he's made have been so impressive, and I think that Tyrese Maxey still has room to grow, and I think he's ready for that next leap. As for Paul George, he's making waves early, and Paul George is a player who's always been widely respected across the entire NBA as a good teammate, a guy who players like to play with. He has received rave reviews as he makes his impact at Sixers training camp. Here's what Nurse had to say about one of his new stars. Got in a couple of situations today. We're playing with some things, got the ball to him, and you can just see a star-level player go to work. You can just see it and feel it. It's just a level above. It's pretty cool. That helps too, as far as having some options. End of quarter, end of game, crunch time of games, 5 minutes and under, all those kinds of things. But I've been probably most impressed with the way that he looks defensively. He's doing things that we want to do that we haven't taught yet. He's really got a good knack for where to be and what to do defensively. And in reading that takeaway from Nick Nurse, it's pretty wild to think that Paul George is the Philadelphia 76er. Now, obviously, we've known this for a few months now since our 10-hour stream culminated over the summer with Paul George signing this deal with Philadelphia. But now the Sixers are on the floor, training camp is in session, preseason is quickly approaching, and the Sixers really have Paul George. And I think what Nick Nurse said about his ability to create and score at the end of quarters, at the end of games, that is such a strength. And from that wing spot, that is something that this team and organization has really missed since Jimmy Butler. Here's what Paul George had to say entering the year. Conversations with Joel coming here, conversations with Tyrese. We all want each other to be ourselves. That's the only way this thing is going to work. I got to be Paul George. Joel's got to be Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey has to be Tyrese Maxey for this thing to work out and for us to learn and figure out how to play amongst one another. That was just conversations to have. For me, I've kind of never had an ego outside of my first couple of years, thinking that I had to be the man from a selfish standpoint to win. But outside of that, yeah, I don't have an ego when it comes to this basketball game. I know what I can do and what I'm capable of, and I can play in any system, any style, play off of any player, play with any player, and it's kind of the one thing that I pride myself on. And this is the type of player, this is the type of Paul George that the Philadelphia 76ers need. If he is bought into playing the right way and playing within the system, I think the 76ers offense will reach their highest potential. Paul George has been a bona fide superstar in this league. And let me add this on top of all of that. Going into this year, Paul George is critical to the Sixers' success. We have seen throughout his career that he is malleable and he can fit in alongside other stars. Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers, Russell Westbrook with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And now he's fully embracing his role on the Sixers team, and he has said during training camp, any role that you need me to fulfill, I will fulfill that role. I will be myself, but I will fit in alongside Joel Embiid and alongside Tyrese Maxey. And you think about his strengths as a player. He can create for himself at the end of games from that wing spot. He can be a catch-and-shoot shooter. He's a pretty good passer who can set up Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. He's a high-level, all-NBA caliber defender who can play shutdown defense on the other side of the floor. And I think that Nick Nurse is going to be able to put him in a position to succeed. And if Paul George embraces his versatile, all-around role, that makes this Sixers team better. And that's the difference between a star like him and a star like James Harden, who went against the grain because he wanted to chase numbers. Chip, a lot that we uncovered here to start the show. Any takeaways from Maxey, Paul George, and obviously a lot more to get to?
Yeah, a lot more to get to, but I absolutely love what I'm seeing from the stars of this team. Tyrese Maxey, there's no limit, in my opinion, to how good he can truly be. And now that he's starting to become more of this vocal leader, he's still so young.
Yep.
But again, the second longest tenured player on this team. Joel is going to be missing games here and there throughout the season. Him stepping up at such a young age and such a young, in terms of years in the NBA, it's just great to see him maturing and growing his game altogether. I think he's going to reach a level this year that he's going to be in conversation for an all-NBA team and being a top 15, pushing a top 10 player in this league. I really believe that because has a skill set, but now I'm seeing the mindset really come along with his habits and making his teammates better, and that's what I'm so excited for.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Paul George, he's saying all the right things, which is great. We'll see, got to see it play out on the court as they figure things out playing together, but saying all the right things when it comes to playing the way that they need to play to win games, not having ego when it comes to playing basketball, because that's so important. When you have three stars, it's always who gets the last shot, who gets the last shot. For these guys, just whoever gets it, they get it, and you'll live with that situation because they can all make it. Between Embiid, Paul George, and Maxey, I love, again, the way that he fits. I love that he's standing out early in training camp, and he's going to provide something the Sixers team really hasn't had in a very long time. Excited the way both of these stars are starting off this season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the other day we talked about the Boston Celtics and New York Knicks probably being the top two teams in the East, at least That's my opinion. Boston's better than Philadelphia. They're coming off a title. The Knicks beat the Sixers in the playoffs. Both rosters have gone through changes. But I do want to open up the floor and ask you. The 76ers, fill in the blank, will finish as the blank seed in the East. Let me know down in the comment section right now. We want to hear from you. As for some of the rookies for this Sixers team, the 2 draft picks specifically, Jared McCain, Adem Bona, they have been receiving praise to start camp, and Joel Embiid actually called Jared McCain the most impressive Sixer so far in training camp. Here's what the head coach had to say about the rookie first-round pick. I continue to really like him. Listen, he's got a really good IQ for the game. His toughness level is up there. He's a scrapper. He really works at the defensive end. He's really one of those guys, too. You're like, man, there's a big pile over there, and he comes out with the ball. And how did he do that? Well, he's just one of those guys that does it. I don't know how he does it, but he's one of those guys that has that knack and that nose for that. And I know a lot of people have, criticized Jared McCain for painting his fingernails, and they think that he's not tough. But if you go back and you watch McCain at Duke, this dude does have a dog mentality. He doesn't have any fear when the lights are the brightest on the big stage, and he will make some really tough, gritty plays. And for Embiid to say McCain has been the best player in camp so far, that's not just hyping up the rookie. Joel Embiid is a smart basketball player, and that is his kind of analysis of what has been happening so far in training camp, that Jared McCain's been hooping. So good signs here early for the first-round pick. Here's what Maxey, his backcourt mate, had to say about him. He had a hell of a day today. He shot the ball really well. He looked way more comfortable. I think that first day of training camp, everybody's out there like chickens, but he was great today, really good. And if he could play, the Sixers can definitely use his skill set. I know that it's not ideal to have 2 smaller guards in your backcourt with Maxey and McCain, but he can also help make up for that with his range and knocking down threes from way downtown. The other rookie, Adem Bona, talked about this the other day, that Andre Drummond is really taking on the role of mentoring the second-round pick out of UCLA. Drummond revealed that he has taken Bona under his wing and is impressed so far. Andre Drummond also, in the lead-up to training camp, called himself the best rebounder ever. I love the confidence. Here's what he said about Bona. I take pride in it, in mentoring him. When I got here, I pulled him aside and said, I'm not here to tell you what to do or change your game. If you ever want any type of advice what to do in the post, just ask. And he's done a great job of just pulling me aside like, hey, what do you think about this? I'll bring him to the gym at nighttime and we'll work out together. So our relationship is very tight from day one. Bona's incredible. Just his energy, physicality, his athleticism, his knack for the ball too is incredible. He's very active in the game. And I know that sometimes some people will look at something like that and say, it's corny. It's just veteran speak. But these types of things are important. Like, culture matters in a professional sports team's locker room. And rookies getting guided and tutored and taught by some of these veterans who have accomplished a lot in this league, that matters as well. This is great for Bona's development because I'm not going to say that him and Drummond are similar players, but they both have similar strengths, blocking shots, being good athletes, rebounding the basketball. Drummond is one of the best rebounders of all time. Bona has the physical tools to be a very good rebounder and to succeed. So you love to see the vets helping the young guys out, and it kind of calms the rookies down a little bit. Like when you're new starting a job, sometimes it's overwhelming. But if there's a veteran at your workplace who kind of takes you under their wing, going to help you out and ease some of those nerves. Will the 76ers rookies make an impact this year? Why for yes and for no? I think Bona going to be more back and forth between the NBA level and the G League level. McCain, if he can knock down some threes, the Sixers can definitely use him. Nurse also gave a shout-out to Yabusele, and I love saying his name, Guerschon Yabusele. A lot of syllables there. Can't wait to hear that name on Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio. Yo, Yabusele, the dude's a dog, man. First time, long time. Here's what Nick Nurse said about the Frenchman. I think he's super excited. He was definitely somebody I mentioned that stood out today. We think he's an energy type of guy. We think that he can get on the offensive glass, rebound the ball, hopefully space the floor a bit too. He was good. He's in good shape. He was very energetic. Brought a lot today. If Yabusele can make an impact, also look out. I mean, look, We know that the Sixers are lacking a little bit of size at that power forward spot. If Yabusele can give you that size at the power forward spot, knock down the three, hit the glass, and play for the Sixers like he did for Team France against USA in the gold medal matchup from the Olympics this summer, that's great news. Embiid's participation. Let's get to that next. Nurse said Embiid participated in every aspect of practice besides the live scrimmage. They're trying to manage his minutes. This is good news. Embiid is not dealing with an injury. They have a plan to hopefully keep it that way, save him from himself. Embiid even said that. Like, when I want to get on the floor, they're going to have to do a better job of trying to keep me off the floor because I just want to play. Lowry and Reggie Jackson following the same plan. Some veteran maintenance, and this is, of course, routine for a lot of teams across the NBA. Coming up next, more training camp day one notes. Can't wait to dive into that. Can't wait to see the Philadelphia Phillies at Citizens Bank Park on Saturday. That's when the NLDS will get underway. The Phillies will take on the winner of Mets Brewers. The winner go home game 3 in that series from Milwaukee taking place today as we record this show on Thursday, October 3rd. Get your Phillies playoff gear and NL East champs gear at chatsports.com/Phillies. Kelly Oubre's offseason. KO said he's excited for this season after fixing some lingering issues this offseason. Had to deal with a little bit of a wrist ailment, and Nick Nurse is really high on him going into his second year as a Sixer. Oubre on his offseason. Some things happened during last year that I just never really took care of. I had a wrist therapist, so she helped me get some more flexion, some more space with my wrist to get my wrist back when I shoot. Just the little intangible things, but I think that's all good. I've been shooting it pretty well in the gym, so I'm excited to be more consistent and just hit. A more consistent Oubre from outside would open up the offense even more. He gives you that athleticism on the wing. We've seen him in that dunker spot, backdoor cuts, throwing down some dunks. The three-point shot has kind of evaded him as far as consistency's sake throughout his NBA career. If he gets a little bit more consistent there, that'll help out the Sixers offense. Nick Nurse saying the ball wins. This is Nurse's new slogan as the team places an emphasis on the possession battle. And here's what he had to say about the Sixers' focus. We're mindful of trying to gain extra possessions. A lot of things started there defensively. Our ball pressure, creating turnovers, rebounding, emphasized today. Hello, rebounding against the Knicks. Yes, that's good, Nick Nurse. Getting the ball up the floor with a little more pace. We got a lot accomplished in a few hours today, so I'm pretty happy. We're trying to create more possessions. We're trying to be really good at not turning it over, creating turnovers, defensive rebounding, offensive rebounding, getting better at all of those kinds of things. And you heard me throw that in there. Like, in that first round series against the Knicks, we were doing the watch parties. You reacted like we did. How frustrating was it to see opportunities go to waste for the Sixers team because the Knicks out-hustled Philadelphia? They hit the glass harder than Philadelphia. They did a better job of simply rebounding better than Philadelphia. And that went a long way in deciding that playoff series. If you enjoyed today's show, give myself and Chip a real one down in the comment section. We appreciate you, and hopefully we convinced you to hit that subscribe button.